Alright, so chapter 5 of the manga starts off from where we left and it shows a beaten down Tenma after his altercation with Takezo, the latter clearly energized by the fact that the fight took place. It is clearly stated here when he says that, "I'm glad I left Miyamoto. You might be a brigand, but you're still a general, and I'll have your head." This scene and this chapter are both interesting because it highlights the insanity that Vagabond is famous for. It shows that Takezo has a love for fighting the good fight which stems from his tough childhood and his father's actions. Because of this, he believes that being weak is not the way of the world and that one must be strong in order to survive, which is true to a certain extent. He came to Sekigahara to fight and test his strength, and he would do that regardless of who is up against him. Another thing that makes this scene interesting is the smirk and subsequent actions of Matahachi. Now here we see him take his sword out and attack the other members of the gang to save Akemi from danger. He manages to inflict a lot of damage in this scene, which shows that Matahachi has the courage to fight as well. One of the most surprising things that happen after this scene is that Tenma, upon sensing serious danger from Takezo, runs away instead of fighting head on, which is something that echoes 20 or so chapters down the road in Takezo's own life. But more on that in the coming videos. This escape showcases the kind of man Tenma is and also the kind of man that Takezo is. When Tenma runs away, Takezo runs after him like a predator going after his prey. The intensity in the chase is emphasized when Takezo says that, "How can you run and still call yourself a leader?" Then we see a full spread of him chasing after Tenma, which culminates in a harrowing scene where Tenma is defeated by Takezo in a fell swoop. After finishing the job, he's looking at Tenma and gives a slight smirk. He is huffing, but the animal has managed to get the victory in this battle. Then the panel shifts to Matahachi, who follows after him and draws up his sword in accomplishment. He says that freebooters are weaklings. How was the boss? Takezo replies, "Nothing special." Then there is a statement where Matahachi proclaims that Honiden Matahachi and Shinmen Takezo from the village of Miyamoto in Sakushu will take anyone on. Now they're just relishing and having a good time after achieving their first victory. Oko notices that and then says that we are leaving, all of a sudden, which catches the duo off guard. Then she builds up on her statement by saying that we'll have to leave if we want to avoid getting defeated. The chapter ends with Oko saying the words Tsujikaze Kohei. Now there are two things that I want to discuss in this chapter. The first is that though the demise of Matahachi is taking place and is ever present, it is clearly shown that when push comes to shove, Matahachi can fight. The fact that he took down 2 members of the gang as a novice, and mind you, it is a gang which is operating in the battlefields of Sekigahara, is impressive. I feel that in this scene, Takezo is kind of a foil to Matahachi, and as the former goes into action, then so does the latter. Right now we see his energy and youthful ability in full display, but that does not disregard the fact that Matahachi is the kind of man who is a slave to his own self. The second thing that I want to discuss here is about the man named Tsujikaze Kohei. Of course, by this point you know that Tenma and Kohei are related to one another in some way, and in the next volume or so we'll see a fight that truly gave Takezo a tough time and improved his growth as a character. So on to chapter 6.